We are live.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting and thrilling episode of Inside Movies Galore, where Brandon has once again brought it home to show us exactly what kinds of films lie deep inside his mind, and unfortunately, he has brought us down to the very lowly depths of the ocean floor. So why don't you tell us exactly what film did you subject us to this week?
Well, this time we're doing a very fancy foreign feature, an Italian film, actually, called Titanic, The Legend Goes On, which is a 2000 film directed by Camillo Teti. It is an alternative take on the Titanic story. Probably, of course, the story of what really happened. As many have said, I'm sure have said, probably the most realistic depiction yet.
Uh-huh.
But let's go ahead and go on to our first viewings. So, Tammy, was this your first viewing of Titanic, The Legend Goes On?
Yes, it was. I definitely agree with you on your opening that alternative take.
Truly. What did you think?
Well, it was definitely an alternative, that's for sure. I really don't know how else to explain it other than that.
Yes.
There were definitely cute parts of it. And the cartoons, there was definitely quite a few of them that looked quite familiar. I don't know. As a film, I guess it was okay. But if you know what really happened with the Titanic, it kind of was like, yeah, okay, I didn't know that had happened, and I didn't know that happened, but
Yeah, but you didn't know about the Mexican singing mice on the ship.
oh,
Oh dear God.
All the rap or like rapping in the early 20th century, or that rap was a thing in the early 20th century.
Only with dogs.
yes. I mean, I guess it was somewhat entertaining, but you know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess that's about what I could give it.
How about you, Jake? Was this your first experience with Titanic, The Legend Goes On?
No, it was not. With the idea, sticking for a moment with the concept of alternative, yes, this is an alternative to cinema. Yeah, no, I know that you had subjected me to this a good while back. I believe the gaming group watched this one night, and and I think at the time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think at the time, IMDb had it ranked at number 1 at the bottom of their list of the worst films ever made. But now, even though it has an IMDb rating of 2.3 with 9.2K votes, somehow it's not on the bottom 100 anymore. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. But whatever.
The music is okay. It doesn't
What's
make
that?
the music is okay. It doesn't make any sense. It's okay.
Well, we'll definitely have to talk about the music, that's for sure, because that's an interesting element of this. We have basically my first impression of this was that it had a rapping dog and that they basically decided, it kind of felt like someone thought, Well, Jim Cameron did so well with his Titanic movie. Well, obviously, the logical thing to do is to try and use that very bare bones plot and hang as many Disney and Don Bluth and various and sundry other animated characters and films on that storyline as possible. See how many of them we can shoehorn into this movie blatantly and get away with it without hopefully getting sued. And let's throw some musical numbers in too, because why not? And it is a train wreck, or I should say a shipwreck. But it's kind of a gloriously bad shipwreck that definitely falls under the so bad it's almost good way of looking at it.
Whoa,
In fact, what's that?
I said, whoa there.
But it's interesting. This is only the second time I've seen this, and who knows if I'll ever get to it again. Although I admit, if there is an American legit release of this, I'll probably get it. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, mine's a European release. But
Do something about the cat attack.
well, I have a cat that's been after me. But like in the movie. So next up here we have got Dave. Actually, yes, Dave. Is this your first time seeing Titanic: The Legend Goes On?
Yes, unfortunately, it is. Oh God, it is so bad. I'm not even sure if it's good. But I did like some of the music. It's just, yeah, the dog rapping. No, that was just wrong. Especially when he started out with a Scottish accent, and then suddenly he could speak like fairly perfect English afterwards. It was like painstakingly noticeable that they switched up voice actors like halfway through, and it was like a shipwreck gone wrong. But I mean, you got the necklace that looks exactly like the heart of diamonds in the Titanic, because Titanic came out in like the 90s.
Yeah.
97.
Oh, they definitely ripped this off.
Yeah.
So
they were definitely going for a rose in here, and whatnot. But yeah. And they said this was for children, I mean, this was a fun family film. I mean, it starts out with that everyone's screaming and dying off the Titanic. That's just awful.
All right. Well, is that your first impression, Dave?
Yeah, for now.
All right.
Had you
heard of this film before, or discussion before I brought
Believe
it up?
or not, yeah, I have. I've heard it in certain circles, and I've heard how bad it is.
Yes. All right, Forrest, was this your first time watching Titanic: The Legend Goes On?
First and last, and I had actually heard about this movie originally through Nostalgia Critic's review of it.
Yes.
But I never thought I'd bring myself to watch it until now. And Jesus Christ, this is probably the worst thing. I feel like this is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to Italy since Mussolini. It's like, oh God, I mean, yeah, it's trying to be. I mean, Actually, one respect, it kind of does remind me of an old SNL sketch, and an SNL animated short called where Disney turned Titanic into an animated film called Teti. And this is what I feel like what that sketch would look like if it were a real thing, if it were a real film. It's so fucking awful.
Definitely not with the Disney budget, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. And actually, no. You know what it reminds me? Actually, what the animation reminds me of is like, do you remember those old Philips CDI games like they did
Yes.
Zelda and Mario?
Oh yeah, at places definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely reminds me of one of those. But without the fun of at least having but I mean, like you could probably take parts of this movie and turn it into YouTube poop. Which is pretty much what those CDI games were good for, or what we got out of them. Yeah, they're trying to be all cutesy like Disney and like Don Bluth, like Jake was saying. I definitely picked that up right away, but it's just so all over the. It doesn't work, and a lot of the music is a lot of the musical numbers are just all over the place. I should mention this is might be the second animated feature that I've seen out of Italy. The other one being an animated feature about Christopher Columbus called The Magic Voyage, which was really also fucking bad. It's like Italy. Please change my mind on the quality of your animated features because so far you guys are 0 for 2 in my book.
Honestly, Italy is interesting. They've got some interesting animations.
I will say, I love spaghetti westerns. I love giallos. I think Italy does great with I think Italy does great with the genre movies. But when it comes to animated movies, they really need to it's just something gets lost in I feel like there's just something getting lost in translation with the stories and the music and everything.
Well, I think this one lost a lot before translation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it did.
If you compare that to Italian horror movies, I guess it is par for the course.
Yeah. I mean, my release is the UK one, and no Italian option, I don't think.
See, the production that I remember from Italy is a German-Italian production called Herr Sucht das Gelucht, which is also called something like Looking for Happiness, and the character animation kind of the main guy kind of looks like Ziggy from Our American Papers, and it's something else. It's a little bit different, and I think that's like the best animation from Italy. But I think it's Harold Searches for Happiness or something like that. It's like in pieces on YouTube if you want to see it. But it's interesting.
Well, let's keep on going. So, Dustin, was this your first time seeing this movie?
First time seeing and really hearing about. This movie was very bizarre. It was difficult to watch too. Just because it was so incoherent. It felt like they were trying to just throw in everything from every different kind of animated movie. It felt a little bit like Anastasia with like several Disney just spliced in. Like it was very, very strange. And like I had to keep starting and stopping just to kind of bear it. Which I've never had to do with a movie before, like ever. So this was a hard watch. I will give it 1 point. Even though the songs didn't really fit or make any sense, they were pretty. Like the music itself sounded okay. Like, it just didn't seem to really fit what was going on
You're
or
right.
make sense within the story. Usually, a couple were actually like they made
Yeah.
sense, but
They had
The
that
big
main theme. Yeah.
The big ballad actually does sound vaguely like something out of an 80s Disney film or like a My Heart Will Go On wannabe. You know, it
Yeah, I
kind
think
of
that's what
does
they
Did
sound
did.
like
and,
that.
I thought
and
that
did
was
anyone
fine. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
and-
the better one of the three.
I'll give it a break in that regard. But the rest of it was just very difficult to sit through.
All right.
Yeah.
So my first exposure was actually also through the Nostalgia Critic, where he covered all 3 animated features that were done on the Titanic. And as you would expect, not a single one of them was any good. I've seen all 3 of these iterations, all by different countries, though the other 2 actually, one's a direct sequel to the other. You know, because the Titanic is one that begs for a sequel, with a giant, with Atlantis and an octopus. So for those that know me, I'm all about the collection and watching of bad movies. The worse, the better. There are a few things that are exceptions, like if I can't get behind any characters in the movie, if none of them amuse me and all that, and then the other is if the movie bores me. This one did not bore me, and the characters did not bother me. They were still a bit stupid or cheesy in some cases, but not terribly there. Though I wanted the pride of being able to say I've watched, at the time, the worst movie on IMDb. Which I think Nostalgia Critic had a hand in getting people to vote it down like that. Because I don't think it is the worst film of all time. It's definitely down there, but it's definitely not the worst. I save that for Mr. Jingles. But as far as this goes, when I saw it the first time, I thought, probably. Nostalgia Critic tends to over exaggerate how bad something is. Not this time. It was genuinely as bad and crazy as it looked, and in a way, I'm glad, because I don't think I would have liked it as much as I do from a bad movie perspective. Keep that in mind. If I hadn't. So let's go and dive in. Of course, we start the movie at the end. One of the things that was pointed out to me is that Cameron really kind of started the whole thing of when they discovered like the whole Titanic breaking in two. So you can see that they obviously watched his movie to get that initial basis, or at least skimmed over it anyway. It is a long movie, so you know. And we go to pictures of them rowing in extremely choppy animation that kind of gives us an already good idea as to the quality of this feature. And everybody's sad, including the crying Dalmatian, which I thought was an interesting touch. So what did y'all think about this as an opener for this?
For kids.
It was it just kind of throws you in there because it's like, what is even happening? Like, it was very chaotic.
Like they just jump right to it.
Well,
Right.
I thought it was kind of odd that one of the ladies was smiling while the people were screaming and singing.
Yeah.
Yes, they had one of them just looking like it's a pleasant day at tea.
That's the thing. And I think a lot of this has to do with the limited animation budget. But you notice how friggin' sparse those ships are. There's not a lot of people in them, and they seem to have plenty of room. And it really makes you wonder. And maybe that's why the one is smiling. I don't know, but
God, we got all this room for ourselves. What the hell with those people?
Yeah. And then we had the one, like, you've got the main heroine and the young guy, and they're sitting there rowing and rowing and rowing. And then there's the guy behind them looking very angry about something. And everyone else is just kind of sitting around. It seems like those two are the only ones rowing.
Yes, we've got a pretty good idea as to a lot of the survivors right off the bat, which I find is entertaining. The only one that they kind of leave you hanging about is the blonde-haired, blue-eyed lead, which, of course, we would assume would die like Jack did.
Well, obviously.
Minor spoilers for Titanic. The ship does sink at the end.
I mean,
again, they kind of start with that. So I guess they wanted to make sure everyone knew up front what was coming so that they wouldn't get their hopes up.
And they made sure that the screaming was there just to make sure, you know.
Yeah, for kids.
God, I miss the screaming. But I kind of like IMDb's description. A Cinderella meets her Prince Charming on the ill-fated Titanic. Along for the ride are a rapping dog, other talking animals, and an assortment of wacky humans.
Yes. So
that kind of works.
Of course, that's
that description.
As we
They kind of summed that up well.
Yes.
Yeah.
They actually cut to our Cinderella character as she is looking in and then reminiscing.
Right.
And we get flashed back to the beginning of the voyage. So the redhead that's pictured on the main title is our Cinderella character with her two ugly stepsisters and evil stepmother, which they board. I'm just going to run down the characters real quick for speed that they introduce, because you also have the woman who's pretending to be rich, but using her dog to catch herself a rich man.
The Cruella de Vil character.
Yes, you've got the
evil stepmother, I think.
Actually, the Cruella de Vil type character reminded me a little more of the evil woman from The Rescuers with the two.
Oh, Madame Medusa.
Right.
It kind of reminded me of a combination between her and Cruella, with her two idiot.
The Jasper and Horace characters, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I would even say that I would even throw in the stepmother from Cinderella for good measure too.
And of course, you have the two Dalmatians.
Yeah.
And then you have
Congo.
Total Disney knockoff right there. Knockoff right there.
And of course, the large version of the Scotty from Lady and the Tramp, who ends up rapping.
Actually, those are two different dogs. Those are two different ones. I've noticed that as we go.
There's one actually. The second time. One that amused me is there's what appears to be a male dog who looks exactly like Lady.
Yes, that's the thing, is they made Lady based on the guy, and that's the one who's tripping up the potential suitors.
Right. They also do the spaghetti and meatball meeting of the lips with the dogs in there somewhere. So
we also have, of course, a detective that jumps on board last minute, kind of
our Sherlock Holmes maybe of the Great Mouse Detective ish.
Do we ever even see him again?
Oh yeah, we see him all
do.
throughout. He disguises himself so you can't see.
He's the one. He's the one they think is William at first when they bring him on to one of the lifeboats later on.
You also have our hero, who's the blonde there, and he's in there with his mother or aunt or something. I can't. What was the relation?
Grandma or whatever.
Adopted mother.
She was just the woman who brought him up.
Yeah, it's adopted, and that's important for later because it would become really creepy otherwise. So, of course, our main heroine puts a lot of importance on this locket of hers, which has the only picture she has of who she thinks is her real mother. She's not even sure of that. And it kind of gets lost in the meantime. And that's how we get introduced to the animals, as we have our American tail mice mixed with a band of Mexican stereotype mice. And we've got, as Dave said, the dogs. We also have the kleptomaniac raven-ish thing.
Which is the crow from Secret of Nim.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they were going for.
Although it's also possible it could have been a nod, again, with the mice being a big part of it, and we've already mentioned the rescuers. It could also be a nod to the bird and rescuers down under, but I think Nim was definitely stronger.
Which the bird was also in the original Rescuers too. So.
Yeah.
Although I do think that there was a seagull that kind of looked like Scuttles from Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that could be too. And I think there was some Little Mermaid, like the scene in the kitchen. Wasn't there a scene like that in Little Mermaid? Yeah.
Tammy was saying something.
Oh, sorry.
The cat was like the Cheshire cat.
Yeah, there was a cat and a chihuahua that were the villainous animals.
You mean the bat?
Yeah, the
bat. Dogs. I think at one point the dogs say they're trying to describe them as something that I hesitate to describe as our own species or something.
So, what did y'all think of the characters in this film? I mean, they all kind of...
Don't forget the sleazy Frenchman named Gaston.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's the manservant.
Yes,
he was the manservant of the main character and his our main male character and his mother.
Yeah.
It's like every single one of them. You could play a drinking game, catch the reference that they stole, and you would black out before the end of the movie.
Yeah. Take a drink every time you see something shamelessly ripped off from another source.
In any case, that necklace that you mentioned, the main characteress, she ends up stumbling, and the necklace falls from the jewelry box in which it was laying inside, and that Gaston character ended up picking it up.
And he hands it He hands it to the singing character that he's trying to hit on, which is funny because she shows up to board in her nightgown, not nightgown, in her ball gown, so that she can, her clubbing gown, essentially. So I guess she was ready for action when she got on board, or they just didn't bother to paint other clothes for her. And that's pretty much.
She's like that woman in red. She's like that woman in red that you see in the Matrix. That you're just supposed to notice, they definitely sexed her up.
So maybe that's Roger meant to Rabbit. Be a. I was going to say maybe it's a Jessica Rabbit.
But they definitely introduce her to the mice really quickly, as Cinderella is apt to do, because she has those connections with the mice, and so
Cinderella.
she forms that connection pretty quickly. Which by helping out like the Fievel ripoff mouse,
right?
And of course, he wants to help out by finding her locket, because I think it's kind of sad. They have her ugly stepsisters and stepmother being in like first class, and they dock her in third class.
Yeah.
But that's when you've got the nice little rapping dog thing, because he's basically dog saves the day when they're attacked by the cat and the chihuahua, and sings his rap. So I don't know about y'all, but the first time I saw that, I just had a hard time believing what I was seeing. But what did y'all think?
Yeah.
Same here. The first time when he started rapping, David and I looked at each other like, what?
I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's party time.
You see, to me, that was
just kind of accepted it. It was like, all right, this is happening.
It didn't fit with the movie at all.
No, it did not.
It was definitely trying too hard right there.
he somehow found a backwards ball cap and a basketball jersey
in 1912.
Yeah.
But to me, that was worth the cost of entry right there, just because it was that terrible and odd. It takes more than terrible to get me to like a bad movie. You have to be suitably insane for me to truly enjoy it. And there was definitely a level of insanity in this. I don't know if the writers in this even were in the same room when they put it together. But of course, we get introduced to all the characters as we go with the one woman, the Cruella / Medusa hybrid, trying to steal all the fancy jewels, but and of course the detective trying to track them down. And I could never get whether he was competent or incompetent, because I kept feeling like they kind of bounced between the two, but I don't know. Maybe I'm off. What do y'all think?
The detective, I thought, was basically a bumbling idiot.
Though he did seem to know what was going on some of the times. Like he knew who the thieves were. Like right away.
I completely forgot he was in the movie after his introduction, honestly. Like, I totally missed him in every scene afterward.
But if he was trying to, you might have known who the thieves were, but he sure was drawing more attention to himself than he probably wanted, because he was such...
Yeah, he kept revealing his identity every time.
Yes.
But there are two parties that are getting ready to happen that are the big thing. You've got the human party upstairs, a big ball, and then, of course, the party with the animals downstairs, which they're kind of stealing from the kitchen to get. And they also work towards eventually stealing the locket for her. It's also kind of interesting that this woman that was traveling with her just so happened to have her old ball gown from when she was a young girl with her, just in her carry-on at the time. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that just seemed like an odd placement. Maybe I'm asking too much from this movie.
Well, especially since there is no way she would have ever fit in it, so why do you still have that?
Well, she might have back in her 20s as that whole... when she was like 3 feet taller and much skinnier. Aging definitely has done a work on a lot of the characters here. But I did find it interesting. Of course, she also ran into this guy, and they kind of hit it off. But then they do the Cinderella thing where he's trying to find out who she is.
Also, it was kind of like abrupt and like bold that he would like put his hands on her, and for some reason, I just found it like a little like lecherous, just a little bit.
Well, it was the teens. It was Titanic happened before World War I, so because as we know, this is a very culturally accurate film.
Huh.
Ha!
But they do kind of hit it off. They get to know each other, but then when he's seeking her, I know that he goes into like the room where she would be supposed to be in. Of course, finds the stepmother and 2 stepsisters, and he's like, no, bye.
Um,
So what do y'all think of the the love interest for our Cinderella.
I'm not quite sure what to think of him because I wish that his voice was a little bit more rougher because how light it is and how he kind of sounds like LGBT or whatever, just a little bit.
To me, he's a flatter character than the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I feel like he was the least defined character in this bit, but I guess if
I
His
feel like
real name is Placeholder.
I don't know. I think I'm surprised his character. I feel like his character is so stiff. He should have gotten hypothermia after the boat sank.
now,
He really didn't have any characteristics, did he?
in all fairness, I guess that's about par for the course of old Disney princes. Most of them were basically flat in themselves. They were just ideal people.
They're just there to make out with the princess.
Yep, essentially.
It's really all he did. Like, I can't remember anything else about him.
But there's a lot of...
he saved the kid. That's about it.
I mean, they have a little scuffle with getting the necklace back. And while the singer is in the bath, I guess she does change her clothes once in a while. And the bird doesn't want to give it back, but after they push it, they manage to get it back to her.
And evidently her charms, she charms the bird a little bit, so I guess he's okay with it.
Oh yeah, well she's like a Disney princess. She charms all the animals. Or Anastasia / Cinderella.
Which means she's kind of like a Snow White in a sense too, because Snow White was a friend to the animals as well as Cinderella was.
She embodies everything of all Disney princesses that we'd rather not remember. But
I don't know. I felt like whenever her and him kissed, she was like resisting it just a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe they just didn't know how to like animate the romance enough. It seemed like she was resisting just a little bit.
Now, of course, the gold digging woman finds this man that looks like he's got money. And the thieves manage to steal some of her jewelry, but you find out that the jewelry is fake, and she loudly proclaims that she's broke to everybody, which kind of negates her her thing there. But he's like, "That's okay, I'm bankrupt too," and they were meant for each other. So we have one happy ending already as we go.
She reminds me of the Unsinkable Molly Brown character, where they were like new money or whatever. So it kind of reminds me of that. Although they were a little bit more blatant about their brokenness throughout the film.
So when we have the title song of the film, which is actually not a terrible one. I feel like they were trying a bit too hard for what they had.
Yeah.
I don't quite get why they needed to do a flashback to stuff we saw mere moments ago. But I don't know. Did that stand out to y'all at all?
It's a money-saving device.
Hey, you just saw this scene a few moments ago, but hey, just in case you forgot, we know you fell asleep. Of course, the mice are having their...
Damn it, how did they know?
And I swear, the animation, like that and on the dog, took a weird turn. It was like all this choppy, cheap animation, and it became all this weirdly fluid, psychedelic stuff that they were doing. You know what it reminded me of was
I wonder how this would be on psychedelics.
Was a Japanese film with an American. It was a Japanese American film called Mouse and His Child. which I'll have to show one of these days. But it's not a bad film. It's actually not. It's actually a pretty interesting one. But the animation had some very strange moments, and this is one of those it reminded me of. But I would say that this film would have a hard time standing up today because of the blatant stereotyping. But at the same time, actually, it's standing up better today than it did back when it was released. So, what can you do? Did y'all enjoy the two parties as they went?
I like the animals party better.
They had that sort of like Mexican theme there with the geese doing like the singing or something with it, and
The geese reminded me of the geese from Aristocats.
they were doing this weird like bouncing up and down. The mice were as they were doing it. Totally strange. But
the whole sequence was just outrageous as someone programs a bomb. So I don't really. This movie has kind of floored me actually and left me somewhat speechless because it was just so strange. Like, it's kind of hard to evaluate like individual scenes, just because they don't seem to go together. You know, they feel like they're from different movies.
like I say, I feel like they had the writers all in different rooms and didn't tell them they were working on a similar project. Just, hey, write a scene from the Titanic.
It really does feel like that.
It does feel like. But we do get some foreshadowing. Oh, there's icebergs that's been spotted ahead. And after we kind of get that revelation that, hey, this locket, the woman that's traveling with our young man is actually the mother of our Cinderella Anastasia character. And that, I believe, around the time that the iceberg hit. But I could be wrong. Sometimes, like Dustin said, this movie kind of runs together for me.
Yes, it does.
Does that sound about right? Did I miss anything? I mean, you had the chef thing where they're stealing the food, but that was a minor. But they have their scene of them trying to get out, and everybody goes in, and the bad guys end up dressing like women to escape, and the detective gets on the boat. Matter of fact, pretty much all of the main characters seem to get away. I'm not sure. I think the weirdest thing of all this is I think all the main characters survive. Even the ones you thought were going to go down with the ship, like our main male character, and the man that the gold digger was hitting on. They seem to get out too. I always thought it was weird that Titanic had to come with this happy, like, what happened to everybody thing at the end. Like, yeah, they got married, had lots of children. These two got happily ever after. These people the criminals get caught and locked up. I can't remember what happened to the stepsisters.
Oh, they got married to the Flotsam Jetsam characters, the two burglars. So they lived happily ever after, I guess.
They didn't become fish food.
All right. So that was pretty much the whole of this movie. Did anybody have any things about the plot that they wanted to discuss before we move on?
Well, about the only thing that they get right is that it hits an iceberg, and I did enjoy how their rendition of that is. There's a couple of small pieces of ice floating in the water, and then suddenly there's just a mountain dead ahead. Like, there's no transition. It's just small pieces of ice, mountain. Like,
There's a phantom iceberg.
it just pops out of thin air. It is insane. And then, of course, I don't think we took on too much damage. And then, of course, showing the ship like rip apart. I think the ship was CG, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the animation part, but yeah.
But as for plot, this had so many plot lines, I just kind of gave up on trying to follow it. Because you have the animals, you have that detective guy, you have the thieves, you have multiple old ladies, like, doing completely different things. It's just chaos. This movie is chaos.
It is indeed. Well, I guess we'll move on to production design. Well, to me, it looked positively horrid. There was a mishmash of animation styles, including CG effects for the ship, which were, I guess, okay for 2000's low budget quality. That's probably where most of the money of the film went, actually.
I'm going to kind of step in. I don't think it looked too terrible. Like, it looked like acceptable. Like, not good, but I can't quite call it bad. Like, it looked somewhere in between.
So, what did y'all think of the animation and effects of this film?
Meh.
I feel like I've spoken my piece on it. It could have easily given Phillips CDI. I mean, it could have given Phillips CDI a second life.
So, what did you think of the character designs?
You know, I saw a long YouTube video that just auto-played for me randomly one day about some like point-and-click game called Oath of the Druids, and it's just like an insane mystery where one of the final like puzzles, like the answer is to like stab someone yourself so that they can't be used as a sacrifice in the Druid ritual. And I feel like this could be turned into like an insane point-and-click game where the solutions are things that make no sense that you would never figure out on your own.
You need to have a dog grab the baseball
Similar
cap
to that.
and basketball jersey, so that he can rap in order to save the day. Stuff that you probably wouldn't think of on your own. That's how most of those clicks work.
I just think that there should have been more thought in the character design. I think they should have gone just a little bit differently than they did. It just seemed like the animation just didn't seem to move all that well, and
humans looked passable.
Okay, the kissing parts did not illuminate to me that there was a romance going on. It just seemed like she was trying to, I don't know, to get as far away from him as possible because his lips just didn't feel right.
I do think that some of the parts where they changed up the animation style for the party scene and the dog rapping, I do think that those showed some quality. I think
that was just random.
I do think that if the entire movie was done in that style, it might have gained more of a character unto itself. But because they switched up styles, I feel like that was a waste.
Well, I feel like they portrayed the villain, old lady, and the other one, the style is so rigid, so abrupt, compared to some of the others. They were like, I guess they were meant to be kind of scary looking, but wow, okay. They didn't need to be quite that scary looking.
Yeah, the villains didn't have much of a punch in this because
Yeah.
there were too many of them, so none of them really, no single one of them was in charge for very long.
You know what this actually reminds me of the more I think about it? Cruel Jaws. Has anybody seen that?
I haven't. I haven't seen it though.
It's a ripoff of Jaws, also from Italy, and Italy was known for kind of ripping off American movies, and that's pretty much what this is. And it feels similar in how it's like pantomiming. It's like, this works in American movies. Let's do this.
Yeah, actually, I'd say Italy's known for it's like they were like the proto mockbusters, also unofficial sequels like Zombie 2 and Alien 2.
Oh yeah. Such fun. So I guess we'll move into the music. The music is interesting. I'm not sure that would this be a soundtrack that any of y'all would buy or listen to on its own?
Well, I wouldn't buy it, but I would acquire it.
Like I said, the main theme is fairly well. I mean, I feel like they paid somebody to write that.
I hope they paid someone for each of them, but I hope they didn't overpay.
Aside from that rapping dog sequence, I thought the music in this was actually okay, and probably its like strongest point, because it sounded, it wasn't like anything remarkable, but it was fine. Like I did not feel any pain. Let's put it that way.
Well, the mariachi
felt on the eyes, but
the mariachi song is painful to look at, but it does sound good.
That's pretty dated, yeah.
Like I say, it's kind of funny that in this day and age, it's actually ranked higher than it was back when that stuff was overlooked a lot more. So, but I guess I guess people realize this is a bad film. So,
people probably cut it some slack because it's like, we know what this is.
Yeah. So, with that being said, any other takes on the music?
No.
It's good. I really hope the Tinfoil collection does come with a soundtrack.
So, it's actually funny because we've gone through two really, really bad films under my watch, and we've managed to finish both of them in pretty record times because we did pretty quickly with Christmas Vacation 2, as I recall.
Yeah, there really wasn't much to talk about.
Though I would say that those two are probably in the running for which one's worse than the other. It's really hard to say.
I don't know. After this one, I feel kind of ill. Like, I keep having to go lie down.
So, we can go into favorites. I'm going to ask two questions since this is my last turn at bat for a little while. So we'll start with you, Dustin. The first question is, what was your favorite scene in this?
I think probably with the magic iceberg mountain where it just appeared, and then the montage at the end. It's like, I bet you're wondering what happened to all of them. Well, here's what happened. It's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what? We're getting a Breakfast Club montage of these people now, like, and so I guess I would probably have to pick between those two as the craziest moments.
It is kind of funny that you have a Titanic movie where the end isn't everybody lived happily ever after,
Right?
except for all those people that died. We don't ever talk about that.
Yeah.
But so Dustin, one other question is my other question I do. So you've probably heard enough about the reputation as you've gone for this movie. Do you feel that the movie is as bad as the reputation purports of it being for the while the number one worst movie on IMDb?
I have seen. I can't. So, okay. The example I use for bad movies is this thing called Jurassic Shark, which is a nightmare. I can't say this was worse than Jurassic Shark. This was fairly comparable to Jurassic Shark. However, this had, the camera was pointed in the right direction. Like, people spoke with conviction when they acted. Like, people were good at acting in this. So this is better than Jurassic Shark.
Oh, well, there we go. So Tammy, what was your favorite scene in this?
I guess I liked the mouse family, and I liked the little mouse that she helped out, and how he was trying to, all the little scenes where he was doing stuff to try and help her out. I thought he was cute. I liked him.
So, do you feel like it deserved the title of worst movie ever?
Maybe not the worst, but I'm not. I don't know exactly how they rate. The thing you're talking about and how they rate the movies and everything. I really don't know how they do it or anything. But no, I don't think it is the worst. It's not the worst that I've seen.
Well, that is I guess a glowing review in some senses for this film.
What is the worst movie you've ever seen, Tammy?
The one you're doing next week.
With joy.
Yay! It wasn't one of mine.
So Jake, what was your favorite scene?
Favorite is such a strong word. I do love the one line that the little mouse has. If it hadn't been for you, I would now be in someone else's digestion. And then, of course, that leads directly into that lovely rap sequence. As far as most memorable scenes, it's got to be the rap scene. But favorite, I don't know. Honestly, there are several moments that amuse me. I have seen awful films that just were not a lot of fun. This one, it managed to amuse me and be watchable, but I'm still not sure I could single out much that I would call favorite. It may be that ballad because it's actually a pretty decent song. That performance could be good, but yeah.
So, do you agree that it was the worst film of all time?
I'm sure there's worse. I've not yet seen some of the ones. I still need to see The Room, for example.
Watch all the rest of disaster movies so you can decide.
Oh, dear God. No, okay. The first 5 minutes of disaster movie is definitely worse than this. That's for sure.
You were able to complete this one.
Twice. Yeah. So, yeah. I kind of think, I don't think I said earlier, I feel like this one is kind of like the Ed Wood movies. Like it got such a reputation for being bad that it's kind of become a minor cult hit.
Yep.
And now people actually really like it. Like a lot of the Ed Wood movies, they're objectively bad movies, but if you look at them the right way, they're kind of fun. So this is similar.
All right. So, Dave, what was your favorite scene in this?
Oh God. Trying to think. I think when the singer got up and sang her song was like my favorite part. The rap was the most horrible part. Uh, as far as anything goes, I don't know. I think even though I know this is a really bad film, I think I enjoy the fact that the people are screaming and dying on the Titanic, and the woman is smiling.
So Dave, do you feel this was the worst film of all time?
I don't think it's the worst film of all time. I've definitely seen worse, and I know that there are probably worse. I mean, I have my going list of bad films, so I think anything with Sasha is bad films. So yeah.
Blasphemy. Hugo is great.
Sorry. No, just no. Anyways. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's the worst. I would say it's mediocre for the time, but they raped a lot of shit from different animations, so it's like it's like it can't really be called its like own original shit, you know.
So Krauser's son wrote this.
Well, actually, Brandon, that brings up a thought for me. Krauser's involvement, definitely. The question might not be, is this the worst song movie, so much as, is this one of the most inappropriate and tasteless movies you've ever seen?
Oh, far from that. I've seen many worse. I've seen many worse than that. So how about you, Forrest? What was your favorite scene?
Oh God, favorites. I would have to agree with the montage. And I get, but I agree. There's like really no favorite moments. It's more amusing, and also probably when the ship sank. I mean, I could even go at the beginning when they're trying to flee the ship. I mean, yeah, what a way to start an animated feature film for families. Is all these people trying to get out of a sinking ship where almost everybody died. As far as this being the worst movie ever made, I mean, it is a dumpster fire, but I don't know if it's the worst ever. It's the worst ever. But it's definitely it's pretty awful. But it's
pretty awful, yeah.
Wait, I don't think this movie's on the IMDb bottom 100, is it?
Not anymore. No, it was. It was actually the number one on the bottom 100 for a while.
All right, yeah, because I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked there in a long. I'm just looking on there for the first time in years.
Even below the hottie and the naughty.
Oh, the hottie and the naughty, Paris Hilton. But yeah, it's I would definitely say it's more like, I guess in terms of like, it's more of a, it's, I guess, yeah, I would agree. It's like more like Ed Wood or The Room in terms of its reputation, where it's bad, but it's like,
wow.
But like it's something it's like watching a train wreck. I'll put it that way.
Jacob would actually agree with this. Disaster Movie is the current number one in the worst ranked movies on IMDb.
Yep, and I helped to get to that spot back in 2008.
Actually, a lot of the Freebird and Seltzer movies are in this list.
Disaster movie sucked.
So My favorite scene is the rapping dog. It's just so. The first time I saw it, I couldn't believe it, even though I knew it was coming from the Nostalgia Critic review, and it's just so out there. It's so weird and so out of place. I just couldn't help but love it. Um, as far as worst movie, I've seen a lot of bad movies in my day, and yeah, disaster movie is definitely down there, and this is no disaster movie. Matter of fact, I couldn't even rank this. Yeah, because I think my lowest rated film of all time is Mr. Jingles, and this was much more amusing than Mr. Jingles. So that's it for Titanic.
Did you get Dustin's take? I didn't.
Yeah, we got it at the beginning.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
So that was Titanic. The Legend Goes On. Let me go ahead and go down the list for our outros. So Forrest, where can we find you?
All right, you can find me on Instagram under My Name Is Not Gump, where I do comic book pickups. You can also go to my YouTube channel, Forrest B Bennett, where I do movie pickups and trying to get some trailer reactions, and I've been trying to get more into discussions. And on Twitter, Forrest Bennett 16. I'm a producer and sometimes actor based in Long Island, New York. I recently a feature film that I executive produced called Shadow Marsh recently came out. I produced for Three Keys Media. I also am an extra in an I am what Lloyd Kaufman would call an actor person in Troma's upcoming movie Bring On the Damned.
All right.
All right. And
that's okay. That's it. Jake.
Well, I'm Jake. I'm co-host on SeptumSin versus World, where we have a whole bunch of videos coming out this week, so that should be some good stuff. Some Oscar analysis and our Honey and Clover discussion, etc., etc. Lots of good stuff there. And I am a movie fan and collector here in Central Virginia, where I try very hard to get a lot of stuff watched so I can come on this channel and that channel and have a lot of fun with these fine folks and getting ready for the Versus Awards. Now that the Oscars are out of the way, we can focus on the real award show of the year and doing my research for that and just trying to fit all that in between work and business and trying to sleep. I'm a little sleep deprived tonight, if y'all didn't tell. But and leave y'all with this last thought that I think we should throw out there. The one IMDb user called this the first Titanic film where the iceberg is the hero. It's kind of a nice option there, but
well, it is party time. So, Tammy, if you'll tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Tammy, David's fiance. I go on this channel and another one with him and watch the movies and talk about them and find out interesting things that maybe I didn't know from the other people discussing, and it makes it a lot of fun. And I collect my own, share movies and music.
All right. How about you, Dustin?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, The Crypt of Horrors, where I show off the things I find during my horror collecting trips. I'm working on getting some videos back online there. I've had a lot going on for the past 6 months. But we didn't stop making videos, so as soon as I'm caught up on enough work, I'm going to start posting there again. I have an Instagram, also The Crypt of Horrors, where I've been posting a little bit more frequently. Probably going to be a week or two before I get some more stuff on there, though. because I'm having difficulty uploading pictures right now. But you can find me on Twitter as Cryptaxis, DER Cryptaxis, all one word, because I'm pretty active on there. So I've got a few really exciting projects I'm sort of working on. And those should be done relatively soon. Well, those should be starting relatively soon. But yeah, follow me, and yeah, we'll have fun.
So, I'm SeptumSin of SeptumSin versus the World. We are all about physical media. We had a lovely discussion this week about Honey and Clover. And of course, we covered the Oscars, including the slap heard round the world. But we also have pickups and so on. I'm actually working on a review at this moment for Joel D. Is it Winecoop? Is that right? His film, The Craiglon Incident. So I've got most of it filmed. I've just got to do editing now, which is still going to take a lot because these take a lot of work. But it has been interesting during this month of hosting. I would like to say it's sad for me to go, but at the same time, I think I'm ready to sit on the sidelines and let the next one of y'all take the helm. So it's only natural that we pass this over to Dave for his outro and to let us know what horrors he has us in store this month.
Bring on the pain. Oh yeah. But anyways, so my name is David Straggy. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this fantastic film journey. Even though we sank, we're ready to get back up again and show you some fantastic films the next month. It is now my month. But I also moonlight under a different channel called Delusions of Grandeur, where I go on about various pickups that I have from movies to books to games and that like. And I also do some video reviews of my own. So definitely check out that channel when you get a chance. But I guess it's now time to tell you about my lineup for this next week. So the first film that we have in store for you, Brandon, do you have that pick for me?
Oh, I've got it from last two, but it'll work. Last film of the month.
Okay, so The Phantom Tollbooth, which stars Buck Patrick from The Munsters, where we get a little bit of a journey of a bored boy who ends up learning a little bit about life through a toll booth. Phantom, though it may be. And then next, we will have, and this is going backwards from the last Tuesday of the month. So next we have Ben Wheatley's High Rise, which kind of entails the lives of people in two high-rise buildings, but it's kind of a little bit of a drama. I would almost say remember Mother. Well, it's kind of similar, but in any case, moving on. So the next backwards Tuesday that we have is Charlie, which is based on a book called Flowers for Algernon. And this particular film is called Charlie. There was a remake of this film in the 2000s, but this film is about a young man who is mentally challenged and ends up going through some experiments and having a lovable relationship with a tiny little mouse. So should be entertaining. And then, of course, my favorite of the bunch, and one that I am looking forward to, is Bunny the Killer Thing, which is a crazy, and I think it's kind of cool because Easter is coming up. So get ready for Bunny the Killer Thing. It's a crazy film that comes from Finland, and it's basically about how a writer ends up getting turned into a 6 foot tall bunny rabbit, and then goes around on a killing spree. So get ready for this film. It may not. You may not survive this bunny experience, but hopefully it'll be a little bit fun for the atmosphere that I bring to it, and hopefully some of y'all can relate to this movie in some way, shape, or form. But in any case,
I mean,
ladies,
who hasn't been there?
Sometimes we feel like we have them bunny days. But anyways, thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, you will let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion, and looking forward to bringing y'all a treat next week. So.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone.
Night.